Comment down below if you know which one of these is the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. One is 4K, one is 1080p.
Today we're talking about the Sony ZV-E10 II. This camera was sent to me by Sony, but it is only a loaner. I'm gonna have to send it right back. Is this the best budget vlog camera for creators? Well, we're gonna find out today, and I'm gonna do a couple of comparison shots with the Sony ZV-E1, my favorite probably ever camera, and maybe even the iPhone 15 Pro Max, just so you can see what they look like next to each other and if you can notice any differences. This camera comes in at $1,000, $998, so it's about $800 cheaper than a FX30, which it shares the sensor with, or the Sony ZV-E1. It's a very nice camera to hold. It's very small. It is a compact little camera that shares a lot with the Sony ZV-E1, including design. It basically looks like a slightly smaller version of the ZV-E1. The only difference really when looking at it is that the menu button is right here instead of a C2 button, and the Sony ZV-E1 has it right here as it has a tiny little bit more space. But apart from that, they are pretty much identical, from the rotating screen to even the battery they use, because the battery in the ZV-E10 II is now the FZ100, which is no doubt one of my favorite batteries ever. In fact, I think I have a lot of them. I think I have about 20 something of these, and I use them basically constantly as a creator, a YouTuber, a filmmaker, a photographer. These are being used all the time. Now, there is no EVF like with the ZV-E1, so it's more aimed at filmmakers really. It's a nice little camera, it really is, and the quality is very surprising. In here, unlike the ZV-E1, we have an APS-C sensor. In fact, it is a 26 megapixel APS-C Exmor CMOS sensor, and it's basically the same one that you have in the FX30. Now, the FX30 is a little bit more hardcore, and it looks like a camera for filmmakers. It's the smaller, brother of the FX3, whereas the FX3 is full frame. These are APS-C. I have two lenses that Sony sent me to check out. And mainly we're going to be looking at the 15mm 1.4G right here. It's a 1.4, so it's going to let in a lot of light and it's going to look really nice, especially the bokeh. But we also do have the kit lens that it comes with. It is a 16-50 and it is a 3.5 to 5.6. So it's a little bit darker, but it's extremely light, and it makes this thing, being compact, it keeps it compact, which is fantastic. Sony also did send me over the microphone, and I absolutely love this thing. We're gonna put it on and just show you the difference between the brand new free capsule microphone design in this one and this, which doesn't need any wires. It just basically connects via, the Sony connection right there. So we're gonna go outside now, and we're gonna check out a few comparisons. Then I'm going to talk you through a few specs, show you a bit of B-roll of the two cameras next to each other so you can physically have a look at what they look like. And then we're going to take some photos, take some pretty video, and you can have a look at what this can really do.
Before we go anywhere, I'd like to show you some footage from last weekend. We were at a funeral, my partner's grandfather. And whilst I was around, I was filming. I wanted to show you what the cinematic vlog mode looks like. And this is it with the forest LUT. I've spent a lot of time in this house. And this view right here is one that I've included in a lot of my drone videos. I've walked up and down this street a million times. And I love coming here with my children and spending some time away from home. There are chickens, there are cows, there are fields. And for the kids, it's absolutely fantastic. They don't comprehend death. They only know life. And walking around this house now, it's completely empty. It's the people that made it live. Without people, it's just a bunch of bricks and mortar. I found late in life that the meaning of life, it's children. My children mean everything to me. And this is now just a memory. But it's always going to be in our hearts. It's always going to be something we can remember. And that's something we have forever. I'm guessing we're rarely going to see this part of Western Poland anymore. It's the end of an era. One of the last times we'll probably be in this house. And probably one of the last times you'll ever see this filmed in my drone videos.
The 4K, by the way, is full pixel readout with 6K oversampling. So it looks really, really nice and sharp. And I'm pretty sure hardly any of you could tell the difference between the ZV-1 slow motion, which is basically a Sony A7S III or an FX III, and the slow motion from this camera in 1080p. I spent most of my life filming in 1080p slow motion, upscaling it to 4K, and I gotta tell you, it looks just fine.
The Sony ZV-E10 II and the Sony ZV-E1 have very similar layouts. The record button, the microphone, the hot shoe, everything is basically in the same place. The ZV-E10 II is just the slightly, very slightly smaller camera. It's an APS-C camera, so it's not full frame. It has 26 megapixels, whereas the ZV-E1 has 12. And being an APS-C camera, it has 1.5 times crop. Now it only does have digital stabilization, whereas the ZV-E1 has IBIS 5-axis and digital stabilization. And the ZV-E1 also has a mechanical shutter, whereas the ZV-E10 II has an electronic shutter only. The image size on the ZV-E10 II is only 3x2, whereas the ZV-1 has 3x2, 4x3, 16x9 and 1x1. But both can film in 422 10-bit S-Log3, which is absolutely fantastic. It is no doubt one of the most professional color profiles on the market. They also share a single slot UHS 2 card slot. It's not a double one like on the more professional Sony A7S III, but it is a single slot. And they both have micro HDMI, which is a shame, but that's what you get if you need a smaller camera. And they also both have a tally light, so, you know, a little professional feature. Both of these cameras also do use the FZ100 battery, which is no doubt my favorite ever battery. If I had $1,000 in my pocket and I had to get one camera to vlog, to film YouTube, to do creative work with, to take photos with, it would no doubt be the ZV-E10 II. It's an excellent camera. Right, now we have the Sony ZV-E1 right here with a 24mm lens. It's a 1.8, and right here we have the Sony ZV-E10 II. So we have two cameras. They're both pointed at me, as you can obviously see. They both have eye autofocus on them. They're both on ISO 125, 5600 kelvins, f3.2 because it's a little bit bright here, and 1/50th. And this is what they look like, right? And stabilization is off, just so you can get an idea of what they look like when I'm walking around, and you know, it's going to be authentic because the stabilization is off. And this is exactly what it looks like. It's a little bit tight. The rig is heavy because I got two big cameras on there. Well, two small cameras. If they had two FX6s on here, I'd be really quite beefy. But yeah, this is what it looks like. This is me walking around. In a minute, we're gonna do a little bit of a run test and see what they look like next to each other. Then I'm gonna do the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So what I'm doing right now is walking in a completely straight line, holding these two cameras, not doing any ninja walk or anything, just walking completely normally. They both have exactly the same settings. They're both on active stabilization, and this is what it looks like. Now if we spin around and get one of these around, this is what it looks like. It is cropped in, a little bit too much for my comfort. So, but as you can see, there is some stabilization going on. I know sometimes with the digital stabilization, the sides, they get a little bit funny, and this is a good place to do it because we have straight lines, we have trees, we've got a lot going on in the background. So what we're going to do now is put the I was going to say the A7S III. It almost is an A7S III, just it's a little bit better, for my taste. We're going to put the ZV-E1 on dynamic and see what that looks like. So right now this is with the ZV-E1 on dynamic active stabilization, and it looks like I'm holding a gimbal. It's absolutely insane. The ZV-E10 II is on active, so it's about as far as it goes. It looks good. I mean, there is no weird ninja walk. I am basically just me walking like this. I mean, it's cropped in on the ZV-1. I gotta hold it like this is a straight arm's length right here. So I would need something like, I don't know, let's say a 16mm like the Viltrox, because this is a 24mm Viltrox on the ZV-1, for it to be like comfortable and for it to be kind of be vlogging kind of style where you don't have to hold your arm out like this, because it is really hard. So the Sony ZV-E1 is on dynamic active, the ZV-E10 II is on active, and we're gonna walk. Go on, Mia, let's go. It's a beautiful day here in Poland. Absolutely beautiful. Is the weather nice, Mia? Yes? You like this kind of weather? You know, I know why. It's because Christmas is coming, huh? Okay. So right now we have the iPhone on the left and we have the ZV-E10 II on the right, and they're both on 25 with no stabilization. Okay, Mia, let's go. Walk. Right, now we're going to do stabilization. Now we have the Sony ZV-E10 II on active stabilization and the iPhone also on its active. Let's go. Okay, Mia? As you can see, she's a happy one. And I'm just walking completely normally here. So you've got to admit,
that looks pretty nice. And as a camera that comes in under $1,000, it does a really, really fantastic job. The stabilization, Sony did a really, really good job. The microphone is good enough to use it without a microphone. Obviously, it does sound better with a microphone that you can stick on there and has a little bit more kind of volume depth in it. But all in all, as a camera by itself, I think it's a really, really good camera. I like that it has a whole lot of features for vloggers, like, the cinematic vlog mode, the product showcase. It has background defocus. So it's kind of got all these things that you want as a vlogger, and you can use creatively to make your work a little bit more, outstanding, interesting, unique. If you do have any questions about this camera, the Sony ZV-E10 II, then drop them down below. I'll be more than happy to help. All the product links you're going to find right down there. Thank you very much, Sony, for lending me this camera to, give it a once over. Actually, I've been using it for about 3 weeks now. And make sure you give me a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and I'm going to catch you on the next one.